Before we begin, I invite you to gently close your ears and focus on what remains when all external sounds fade away. It's like sitting in a quiet room, and after a while, you notice a subtle ringing or hum beneath the silence. If you listen closely, you'll start to experience this soft, constant presence, something that feels like the very fabric of reality itself. In quantum physics, it's said that everything is connected at the most fundamental level, and that everything we see is just a manifestation of deeper, unseen energy. What you are hearing, or rather feeling, is that same energy, that same field of potential. This subtle ringing is what we call the sound of silence. It's not just an abstract concept or some external force. It's the very essence of you. Everything we discuss in this session, and the ones to come, will be about this sound of silence. It is not something separate or different from you. It is you. This exploration is about realizing that the sound of silence is your own inner being, your most fundamental nature, the stillness from which all life arises. You are that, the very presence behind everything. When I look at a situation where I didn't get a tattoo, I might wonder who actually did this. If I didn't get it, who did? Something was perceived by these eyes, and that information entered my mind. This information has been received by many people, and for some it led to getting a tattoo, while for others it did not. What does this mean? Someone might say that they have a choice, the freedom to choose. But is it really freedom? When I am presented with 50 food options and asked to choose from them, where is the freedom in that? I am bound by the choices available, and this leads to confusion and conflict. The more I try to make a decision, the more trapped I become. Even deciding not to eat places me in another trap of thoughts. This is a thin veil distinct from the world that people typically observe, yet most people don't see it this way. They may think about freedom in terms of having the power to choose, but this is often just an illusion. If I examine it closely, I realize that a tattoo image passed through the minds of two people. One person decided to get a tattoo, and the other did not. The person who got the tattoo mistakenly believes they made that decision, and the one who didn't get a tattoo also wrongly believes they made their own choice. The truth is, both decisions were influenced by the experiences and accumulated information each person holds from their past. The one who got the tattoo might have done so out of suppressed feelings, possibly from being mistreated, and in trying to assert themselves, they chose to rebel. Similarly, the other person did not get a tattoo due to different internal information that led them to avoid it. Their thoughts arose within them, just like any thought does when I open my eyes in the morning. These thoughts appeared within each person based on their past experiences, and though their actions may seem like they were decisions, in truth, they were driven by unconscious influences and desires. I mistakenly believe that I made a decision when, in fact, it was my desires, fears, or past experiences that influenced my thoughts and actions. This isn't freedom at all. For instance, I may have a craving for something, like chocolate, but I may also be aware of other information, like health concerns or past experiences, that stop me from indulging. This creates internal conflict. If I didn't have that extra information, I would just eat it without any inner struggle. I don't truly make the choice to eat or not eat. The process happens on its own, controlled by the thoughts and desires within me. This conflict inside me occurs when I am unaware of these inner forces at play. My desires create thoughts, and these thoughts lead to actions. The more I understand this, the more I realize that behind every thought, there is either desire or fear. If there's no desire, there will be no thoughts. If there's no fear, there will be no thoughts. If I look at any thought, I can trace it back to one of these two forces. For example, if I am constantly thinking about a pimple on my face, it shows that I care deeply about my appearance and my body. My body becomes the source of my thoughts, desires, and even my suffering. The truth is, my happiness or sorrow depends on my body and how I perceive it. If I think there's something wrong with my body, I will feel distressed. But if I stop identifying myself so strongly with my body, the thoughts and suffering that come from it will disappear. Thoughts arise from the desires and fears within me. If there is no desire or fear, there will be no thoughts. The more I examine this, the more I realize how much my thoughts are driven by my desires. A person who has been meditating for many years might have a deep desire for a specific experience, and that desire will create thoughts. If I didn't have a desire for a particular experience, there would be no thoughts related to it. The same applies to fear. I fear losing something because I have a desire for it. If I didn't have that desire, there would be no fear. Desires and fears are what keep me trapped in thought, and they drive my actions. If I want something, I experience a sense of lack. This feeling of lack is what causes suffering. To truly understand desires, I must look deeper into their origin. The root of desire lies in my identification with the body and mind. I think of myself as this finite, limited form, and because of that, I desire things that I believe will complete me or make me happy. But if I realize that I am infinite and not just this body, my desires will naturally fade. The key to breaking free from desire is not to try to eliminate it forcefully, but to understand it deeply. As I explore how desires arise, they lose their grip on me. Desire stems from the mistaken belief that I am this body and that I need things outside of me to feel complete. Once I realize that I am not separate from the universe, but that the universe exists within me, my desires begin to dissolve. This is where true freedom lies. When I let go of my attachment to the body and its needs, I can experience life without being driven by desires. I no longer need to own things or chase after external validation to feel happy. True satisfaction comes from the understanding that I am already everything I seek. I am not separate from the world around me. I am the source of all creation, and this realization brings about a deep sense of peace. Without desire, there is no fear, and without fear, there is no suffering. If I understand that I am not just this body, I can release all cravings and fears. There is no need to chase after things or try to become something I am not. When I stop trying to be something else, I can simply be. This is the essence of true freedom. The desire to own, to achieve, or to become something other than what I am creates suffering. Once I realize that I'm already everything, I can let go of this desire. I don't need to own anything because I am everything. In life, problems only arise when I feel separate from what I desire. A story I have heard illustrates this. A golden deer appears and passes by, but the real issue isn't that the deer passed by, it's the desire to own it. This desire arises because I see myself as separate from the deer and think that owning it will bring me happiness. But the truth is, I am not separate from the deer or anything else. I am everything, and when I realize this, I am free from all desires. I am not just this body, and once I stop identifying with it, I no longer feel the need to chase after anything outside of myself. The universe is not something separate from me. It is me. Understanding this is the key to overcoming all desires and finding true contentment. It's a simple truth, but most people miss it because they are too focused on the external world. In reality, everything I seek is already within me, and when I realize this, I am free.